Okay, so I'm going to go back to my broadcast. Yeah, so it's called My Broadcast. So you can pull it up on your phone or YouTube. So, anyways, let me erase this real quick. Welcome to the Jeff and Lynn show for remote viewing and prepping. This is SITN's version of prepping. Now, I don't know if you guys, anybody knows, Lynn has no idea how to prep.
Because we see no need to do that.
Exactly. So if Lynn ever needs anything, he will literally walk outside, walk down the road, and he will literally go to the store to buy what he needs. So being a person who is self-sufficient, and I have my own little farm, and I have food resources that will last for years, if not multiple years, for me and my wife. Lynn doesn't have that. So Lynn doesn't have the ability to cover like 7 to 10 days. So
it's not just me. It's about pretty much all people in Taiwan.
Exactly. So since Taiwan is a very small island and the people are limited on space and resources, it's shocking to me that Lynn doesn't have this ability to weather a storm, and even a small storm. If the power goes out in Taiwan, there's going to be a lot of hungry people. So one of the things that I do is I look for long-lasting food, and the long-lasting food that I was looking at was My Patriot Supplies. Now, I think it's My Patriot Supplies. I'll go to it real quick. So I'm just going to go to My Patriot Supplies as, what did I do? I have successfully screwed up my
No worries. Yeah, you just play the screens.
Oh.
in 4. I don't know what you touched.
Okay, so basically it's freeze-dried food, and I'm gonna bring it up on the screen here. Okay, so let me. What's that?
I sort of see the reflection of your computer screen in the whiteboard.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it up and running. So let me capture it real quick. I want video capture.
Cancel.
So what it is My Patriot Supplies. I just did it again. So allows you to. It's window capture. Okay. My Patriot Supplies has freeze-dried food. Okay, can you see that, Adam? Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So what it does is it allows you to basically have a ready supply of food. There's 4 weeks supply of food. These are the foods you actually get in a 5-gallon bucket for 4 weeks. So, and it tells you how many calories per day per person. Okay. And I can't remember if that's for 1 or 2 person. Now, this doesn't look like much, but it's enough to keep a person going. And in your case, because you're an island, and one hurricane can actually devastate your power supply for a limited time, having one bucket will allow you to eat for quite a while. They also offer solar generators, water filtration, which is very important, heating and lighting, survival gear, and survival seeds. So I know you have limited space. The seeds aren't going to do you any good. The water filtration, now I don't know if you've ever drinking out of a toilet.
No.
Really?
No.
Okay. So Lynn is never drinking out of a toilet, and I'm sure he probably doesn't want to. But if the toilet water is all you have, then you will be drinking out of a toilet. Having a water filtration device like this, and what do they call those little iodine pills to purify the water, Adam? Oh, there it is.
The iodine to purify the water is called Polar Pure, it's not a little tablet, it's a liquid.
Yeah, so I'm looking at this one's called Potable Aqua. And it's just basically something to kill all the bugs in the water. It's not going to purify the water. It'll kill the bugs. And here's another thing.
Right.
You're in an apartment with a bathtub, right?
Yes.
Do you see this big tub of water?
Uh-huh.
So it's basically a clean bag that you can draw, fill up from the tap will run for quite a while.
Okay.
This allows you to store 65 gallons of water. Now,
Mhm.
65 gallons of water won't last you very long,
Mm-hmm.
but that's awesome. You don't have to save water packets like this.
Oh,
You don't have
yeah.
to save water jugs.
Yeah.
You just save this, and then while the water's still running, you fill it up the best you can, because
Mhm.
eventually the water will shut off and the power's out.
Mm-hmm.
But because you're in the city, you're going to have some flow. These are filters. You can go to a puddle of water and you can filter. And surprisingly, this is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to transport water. I'm stressing on water, because water is, the minute you have no water, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
But
One of the big things about water is often it's available. Like your local city might even say, hey, we've got a clean water source, come get it. And if you don't have somewhere to put it and carry it back, you can't go get it.
right, so you can. It's actually there, but all you've got is a couple cups. Well, that'll last you for a day. Plus, all this food is the food supplies you mix with water. And yes, these are really pretty pictures, and no, they don't come out like that. I mean, I'm sure they don't taste like, what it's supposed to taste like. And the pancakes I made yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
well, I'm sure these pancakes won't taste the same. And those pretty little strawberries
No.
won't taste the
No.
same. But they are good. They're adequate, and they provide calories. Now, you're going to have, I don't know what you have available to you for, what do they call it? Not dehydrated, vacuum stored food.
Mm-hmm.
They offer a lot of vacuum. I know the Chinese markets have a lot of vacuum packed food where it's freeze dried. So they
Uh-huh.
take all the moisture out of the food. It's in
Uh-huh.
a freeze dried condition, and especially fruits like the little bananas
yeah.
and strawberries.
We do have this kind of stuff.
The shelf life on that is a long time. You can literally buy a package and put it on the shelf.
Really? Because based on my impression, they only last like 6 months or so.
No. What do they call that? Freeze dried. They freeze dried. Okay, so a
If you freeze dry food and leave it out, it doesn't store forever. But if you have freeze dry food and you put it in a canning jar and vacuum out the air or something like that, it's not really going to have a limit to the storage life.
Right.
It will be
so-
good in many, many, many.
Right, because what I actually wanted to do is I actually wanted to send you. I wanted to go onto a Chinese market and I wanted to buy a bunch of this freeze dried. So Global Source, that's a Chinese. Okay,
Mhm.
so they sell wholesale freeze dried food supplies. I don't know if I can buy from here. So these freeze dried strawberries will last you for 20 years.
Mhm.
There's nothing in there that's, as long as it's sealed in a Mylar bag, that it will last you forever. You literally can take that and throw it on a shelf. It's not going to provide you a lot of calories, but it'll last a long time.
I've seen them before, but in my country, I remember they only last like 6 months or 1 year at most.
The more fat the food has in it,
Uh-huh.
the less time it'll last on the shelf. So you literally have to be careful when you store food. So even freeze-dried cheese
Mm-hmm.
won't last because it'll eventually break
Deteriorate.
down. Yeah. So there is a time limit for some of these. You have to do a little research.
Mm-hmm.
So freeze-dried cuttlefish, I don't know, that's squid, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Eggs.
No, I have never seen that.
Really, you've never seen eggs. So one of the what do they call it? What do they call that vacuum pump? So freeze dried Harvest rate.
The vacuum pump for a
Yeah,
freeze drive?
harvest
Freeze dryer?
rate. Yeah, harvest rate vacuum pump. Or harvest rate freeze dryer. There we go. So what this is a little machine that you can do this yourself. So if you actually, and this is a small one, right? So if you wanted to do this yourself and you wanted to learn how to prep and do things, okay, you process the food, you cut it up small, you literally put meats and veggies and everything into these little trays, and it freezes, and in this frozen state, they put it under vacuum. And now that it's under vacuum, all the moisture comes out. And this tells you, I mean, it'll tell you how long these particular foods, right? So from garden to orchard, camping and hunting, you can do it in glass jars like that. And you just got to learn how to use it and how long it's going to last. So this is a lot of money, but if you were to prep in Taiwan, this is what I would look at. I would look at freeze-dried food exclusively. Beans and stuff are a different matter. You don't have to freeze-dry beans, but anything else like fruits and vegetables, eggs, meats can all be freeze-dried and safe. And again, it doesn't take up much. It doesn't take up much space. These are Mylar bags, so they're aluminum with plastic coating. Go ahead.
Something else that I did is trying to keep the normal food that I ate with refrigeration and all this stuff was really tough. So if you just adopt to like the Indian food, their whole culture developed without refrigeration. You know, lentils, beans, rice, chickpeas, all that stores without a refrigerator, stores reasonably well. Heck, even ground up masa and things are, you know, they store for a long time. I've had it 10 years after the expiration date. It tastes a little stale, but you still get energy from it.
Well, see,
Like, you can do a lot of low-tech solutions.
I don't think he's eating beans. I don't think, like, you know how we throw a crock pot full of beans and we have beans and chilies and stuff? I don't think Lynn has tried beans. So it would be interesting for me to make a big old pot of beans. Of course, his gastrointestinal distress will be magnificent, and he's going to have a lot of gas, and it'll probably be miserable. But beans,
There's a way to
beans,
fix that.
huh?
How you fix that for somebody that hasn't had that before, or if you have those problems, is take the beans, put them in your pan, put water in it, bring it to a boil, and then leave that, you know, so this is a hot soak method, put your lid on it, leave it for an hour without the heat on, so it cools down, and then take that, pour the beans out into a colander, and scrub them, wash them under water, take the pan, wash it out.
So you're rinsing off all that. Yeah, I gotcha.
Right. And rinse it really well. And if you do that and then refill it with water and then cook it, you have a lot less problems with that. And anybody preparing for hard times should know how to do that, because beans are a pretty good way to go. But if you don't cook them right or process them right, you're going to have problems.
Right. So you have a myriad of beans, and unfortunately, the side effect of beans is you have a lot of gas. Now, for me, I'm used to it, so I don't have an overwhelming amount of gas. But for you, you would be absolutely miserable. But beans last a long time. You can buy a pound of beans, throw it in a crock pot with a little, meat, even freeze-dried meat. Let it simmer for 8 to 10 hours, and you have a wonderful meal. You throw some seasonings in there. It's just the problem with you is going to be, because you're not used to this, you're going to have to adjust to the gas. So his method will literally reduce that gas and allow you to enjoy the beans and not be farting all the time. The farting is amazing. Your tummy swells up. You are literally leaving stinky bombs everywhere. It's awesome. So, but I love beans. I love pinto beans, black beans, and each one has a different flavor, and they're easy to store. So, and the other thing is, the beans grow.
Yeah.
You literally can grow during the summer. You can literally grow. So if
Yes.
I can take these seeds that I was going to eat, plant them, and I'll have green beans, and they grow very well and very fast during the summer. But this is also an easy option, but you have to try it first.
Well, from my understanding, we do have similar products, but it's not like the one you showed to me on this webpage. In Taiwan, what I see is powder. That we scratch this kind of beans into powders, and we preserve them. That's
Right.
how yeah. That's how we handle this type of food.
Right, right. So you just literally take the beans and make it into a usable powder, and then the powder gets, you do different things with it. But see, I like the you're going to find that the whole beans mixed with, like, say, ham or something, a meat product is just, and then simple seasonings is an absolutely wonderful thing. And until you try it, I mean, I can't even describe it. You're going to have to at some point do some beans, or have somebody cook some beans so you can try it. In fact, I don't know, Adam, where's a good place to try beans? I mean, what
Gosh,
is
go
there?
out to a good Mexican restaurant is probably a great way to try it. And the other thing, grinding beans up into a powder, like if you have beans that have been stored for 30 years, like I do, and it's really hard, and they're like, if you put them and try the standard cook method, they will never cook. So if you grind them into a powder, I've got a grain mill, if I grind them up, they will cook. So, and if you have fresh beans that you grind up and cook, they cook in 5 minutes. It's really energy saving, because there's the food, the fuel to cook the food is often a really big deal. So grinding up the beans is a fantastic way to save energy.
Right, right. It is, and you can use old beans, and again, the cooking factor, because once it sits on the shelf, it loses more and more and more of its moisture inside. So it does get bad. I mean, I have prep food that's 5 years old that's going to be really questionable. So I really I gotta watch what I'm doing. But like those sardines I showed you is also a great food. So.
Back to water for a moment. Look at the image I posted in the side chat there.
Okay, hold on.
This, and then I'll describe that product, because it is fantastic, and you both need it if you don't have it.
Gotta figure out how. Oh, here it is. On the side chat.
Yes.
Whole or pure? Yeah. Okay, so again,
What's that?
water disinfectant.
Right.
When the
So
water
the only place to get that in the U.S. right now that I know of is Walmart.com, online only, and because they have to file paperwork and turn you into the government as a criminal when you order it, because I guess people use it to make meth or something.
No,
But
it's
anyway,
for an explosive.
It's got a thermometer painted on the side. So you take a standard 1 liter water bottle, and you look at how many capfuls of the liquid in the bottle there that you pour into your water bottle. You can fill it up with biologically contaminated water. Close the lid, shake it up, leave it for 15 minutes,
Toilet
and it
water.
will have killed everything in that bottle.
Right. Toilet water.
Now this has a really good dual use, because, well, it won't get rid of chemicals, clearly, but if you get radioactive fallout, this is iodine you can flood your body with to make sure you don't pick up the radioactive iodine. So in my opinion, it's way more valuable as a radioactive fallout defense tool than it is a water purifier, because boiling the water is obviously pretty easy, or filtering it, but it's a great thing. And a lot of people have iodine deficiency in the United States. I don't know about, I'm guessing places near the coast like Taiwan are not going to have that sort of a problem. But it's a great source of non-radioactive iodine.
And that's the thing, is even if, like, say, Germany and Ukraine start tossing around nukes, you guys are going to get what do they call that when the dust and shit flies overhead and drops off? You're going to get the
Nuclear fallout.
nuclear fallout. So what this does is, that means the water that you have and you're drinking will now have nuclear fallout in it. And what this does is, when you drink this radioactive iodine that's in your water, this will make sure that your body only absorbs iodine that has no radiation in it,
Mm-hmm.
because radioactive iodine will be absorbed into your body and dispersed out through your organs, and because your body uses iodine in a very trace amount. This overloads your body with pure iodine, and it's really good. But like he says, this is a chemical that can be used in very nefarious scenarios. In fact, I've made some samples that were very nefarious, but it's also,
And
they have many ingredients. They have many ingredients that also do the same thing. You should look at. This is for disinfecting water.
Uh-huh.
You can also buy something similar to keep your iodine level up. In is it pill form? You can take little pills.
It's potassium iodide.
Potassium
Potassium iodide tablets will do that. It's a great thing to have on hand. Have one or the other. The only reason why I like the Polar Pure is it will treat this single bottle will treat like 10,000 gallons of water. It's enormous. It ships dry, by the way. It's just little pellets in the bottom of the jar. You fill up the liquid, so I don't know if you can get it back to this country on an airplane.
Probably
But
not.
it's
But they might have something.
iodine.
They might have something so similar that has crystalline iodine in Taiwan.
Uh-huh.
So I mean, if he can find something similar with the iodine, it covers two aspects. One's the decontamination, or the decontamination of the water, and the iodine for nuclear fallout. So that actually covers two really good aspects that unfortunately we got to worry about. So again,
And my suggestion to him is remote view your future and see what supplies you need. Because this is how I prepared, and it's great. And when remote viewing my future, like the 2004 tsunami, I felt that coming so strong. I knew it was water, it was too much and too little, which didn't make sense to me at the time. And I was completely ready. I had a boat in my living room. I had water stored. I was everything, and it happened halfway around the planet. So don't fall for that.
he literally saw a terrible event and prepared for this terrible event, only to find out that it was a terrible event 2,000 or more than 2,000 miles away. But it was he saw this event, and he documented the fact that he saw it coming. And that's the thing, is maybe we can remote view when your power is going to shut out. You absolutely have to have something, because if you have nothing on your shelves, no food, no water, and again, water and toilet water. You have normal toilets, right?
Sure. We do.
Have you ever taken the lid off it and looked at the little flapper?
No.
Okay, there's a big tank behind the seat, right?
I know that.
Right. You take the lid off.
Uh-huh.
You make sure the flapper doesn't come up, so you disconnect the flapper.
Uh-huh.
And now you have, what is it, 2 gallons of water?
Probably.
I think it's about 2
Usually
gallons.
about that.
So it's not real pretty to look at. But you literally can run it through a filter, life straw.
Oh, the water in the back storage tank of the toilet, a lot of people drink that with no filter at all. It's nice city water that comes in and clean.
But it
I
just,
wouldn't drink it out of my tank because I don't drink my tap water.
right, but the
I
thing
boil
is,
everything.
in a normal situation, when you pull the lid off of any tank, you have little bacterial growth, and it doesn't look real pretty. And here's a life straw, you basically pull water through it, so you can literally pour that stuff into a cup and then drink with the life straw, which you can buy at any camping store here. And you can drink toilet water.
I'm so surprised that this kind of product really sells in the United States, because I have never seen this kind of stuff appearing in our country.
Well, the deal is like when you're camping and you're in a beautiful high glacier lake, and it's trees and there are animals and it's wonderful, and you're fishing and you're really thirsty, you don't want to drink the water because a beaver 100 feet away from you just took a dump, and there's beaver poop coming down that water, and there's worms in there, and you will get very, very sick. So having something like this will stop the bugs. Not having that, you will have massive intestinal problems. But the nice thing is, this also takes care of lead, radioactive materials, heavy metals. It really will clean. Even a pitcher like this, you can find some that have very high filtration rates.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very important. And again, throw this on a shelf. Throw it with your bag of beans
Mm-hmm.
and your foods. So okay, so we've covered food. We've covered the Polar Pure. What are we missing?
Well, generally, your priorities are a warm place to sleep, a decent meal, and I don't think his climate is worrisome enough to need good clothing or shelter that much. I mean, if he's on a coastal country, can he go fishing? Like, is a fishing pole a good idea to have?
He's in a city with a whole bunch of people with the same idea, so I think fishing's going to be out. I don't think he's going to be able to go fishing.
No way.
But see, I'm kind of if it's like an earthquake scenario or a major catastrophic event like a tidal wave, are you facing the Pacific? You're not facing the Pacific. You're in between the mainland and
Yeah.
okay. So you're kind of protected there. So the only thing you'd have to worry about is a earthquake or a tsunami. And
Or China. China is a big one. Like, absolute complete war is something I would prepare for first where he's at.
Right, and that's why I say an earthquake or tsunami or war. Yeah, and any of the three is going to temporarily or permanently shut down the power. And if that's the case, then you have to prepare for power. Now, you have many choices on that. You can go solar, which is, in your case, you don't need much power.
Mm-hmm.
The little solar panels with the jackery is going to give you enough capability to cook rice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I should show you it's this rice cooker that's about this big, right? And you throw in a cup of rice and you plug it into the jackery and it works.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to drain a lot of power. Anytime you heat water, it drains a lot of power out of these little systems.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a cute little one like this and a solar panel to go with it. So if everything goes to hell in a handbasket, I can still generate my own power.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I know, you're not sharing the screen to everyone else.
Really?
And
No, that's
so,
thank you. Here we go.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Thank you. I thought I was.
One more emergency supply most people don't think of that is super handy. It's have a bunch of cash on hand. When things fall apart, it'll fit in your wallet. It's tiny, and even in the middle of really hard times, a fair number of people will go, "Oh, you want to get on the boat and get off this island? Sure." And you hand them a bunch of cash, and often that's a handy thing. So a lot of people don't think just how useful that can be in certain situations.
I really have never thought about this. It's like buying an insurance
Exactly.
that pays when something really happens.
Well, the nice thing about this insurance is you can take it off the shelf 10 years later. You can throw it in a pot and you can eat it. I mean, it's and a hand cranked radio. You know, it's just little weird details. Everything's going to sit on a shelf until you absolutely need it.
I have a flashlight or two. A lot of people in cities don't own them.
Well, I'm
They
showing
don't
them.
have any flashlights at all.
Right, you can see the 4-in-1 emergency solar flashlight, right? So a lot of these come with solar panels. It has a built-in battery. You have a hand crank, and it takes you a long time to really charge the battery. But that hand crank will charge the battery in a very short amount of time to at least give you a little light. In an earthquake, when everything's dust and dirty and at night, you have no idea how nice it is to have one light. And having gone through many earthquakes and many events where we have no power, having something like this is wonderful. And being able to hand crank it too. So this is something you would buy and throw into your bug out bag. And we haven't even talked about a bug out bag. So the main thing is when you're looking at the stuff is you look at something that is usable for you. Here's a flashlight that has solar cells built into it. But to me that doesn't make sense. Why not have a hand cranked and a solar panel and a radio? You know, this is to me is if it was a good deal.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with these is they're not always really sturdy. So you have to be careful what you buy. I'm not going to ever suggest that you get a solar stove.
No.
Not not a solar stove. What do they call those? Rocket stove. They sell rocket stoves where you take burnable. Yeah, they take burnable material. You shove it into the bottom, and it produces a heat. And they're really handy, and they kind of look like this. Instant stove. That's not really useful.
Okay.
Because I mean,
look up the solo stove.
the
Look
what?
up the solo stove. That one, solo, SOLO, stove,
Solo.
solostove.com. Yeah. .com.
I like the fact that you
Now
can see
there
my.
are. I like that I can spell it.
Yeah, but see how big and bulky that is?
No. Look at the tiny ones. Go look at their products and look for the. Not the big ones they're trying to sell, but the.
Plus,
They're not on Amazon, I don't. Oh yeah, Amazon does have it, or you're still on. You're still on their website.
Yeah.
You want the little ones, the ones meant for camping. The first one they sold. Mine's called, I think, the Titan.
I don't see any small ones. So
Search. There's a search bar. Yeah.
it's called a Titan.
I think that's it. There you go.
Oh, that's cute.
There are. It's wonderful. There are a lot of Chinese knockoffs of this. It's a pyrolyzing wood stove. One of the big things you don't want is smoke, because if you're cooking and people see smoke,
Right.
they will
So
know
you're
you're
gonna-
there and that you're cooking.
You're in a
So
city
these,
that's right. So you're in a city that's gone to hell, right?
No, we cannot use that.
Right. You cannot have food smells and stuff, because if you're going to cook food, everybody's going to know you're cooking food. And pyrolyzing the gas is
right, it burns the wood, it burns the smoke. It doesn't burn the fuel directly.
right, which is awesome. This is basically a jet stove, anyway. So it's basically a rocket stove modified, and that is cool. That is a really how much you pay for that?
It says $80.
I paid more than
$80.
the price on yours.
$80.
I paid about 90 to 9, but I
Okay.
think it's 80. I got the shipping and tax, but
That's 80
like I said, there are gobs of Chinese knockoffs for $15, $20, if that's still a thing where you can get stuff from them.
Well, that's the
But
thing.
there are, this is stainless steel. The other thing, you can make this with a quartz paint can, and one of the food cans fits right into it. I've got full instructions I can send you for how to make it with various food cans and just little simple hand tools, and I built one. It works. It's like a tuna can, a soup can, and a paint can. They all fit together. You punch the holes in the right spot, and it's you've got yourself a little mini stove that will rust instantly when you use it. But there are simple versions of this you can build for almost nothing.
Right. So, and that's the other concept. So here we have where you put a fuel source into it, and it could be wood, it could be oil, it could be all these different fuel sources. That's really cool. This is very compact for one person. So, I mean, and that's the other thing is cooking your food. How are you going to heat the water? Well, the other way to heat water is a solar oven. And this is what my mom got. She literally lives in California next to Adam, and she has a solar oven. So I want to go to images. And a solar oven, do you see this? This is nothing more than a shield that goes in a windshield of a car, right?
Yeah.
That's all it is. And this is a cardboard box lined with tin foil with a piece of glass. A lot of people use Teflon or not Teflon, but plexiglass, or the clear plastic that they cook with. And this is what my mom has. And when this is in full sun, it'll get up to 300 degrees. So having something as simple as a piece of something off a window, you literally can take your beans, throw it in that pot for 8 hours, and at the end of 8 hours, those beans will be fully cooked. So this is another concept that a lot of people don't understand, is cooking food. This is great. That will give you instantaneous 1,000-degree heat. You can fry a hot dog in no time flat, but I mean, all you're going to have is food that you can scrounge. And then, of course, you can see all the different do-it-yourselfs that work really good. The best ovens, though, have fold-out fins, so you get maximum amount of sunshine. Anytime you can increase the amount of solar radiation into a small given area, like these, the better off the stove is. And they work phenomenally for slow cooking meats and beans and shit. They're just, you gotta try it. There is another option with tubes. This is a solar tube, and it's a contained unit. It's wonderful. It cooks really good, but you see you're limited to cooking with just that little section. But you can heat up water. You can do all sorts of things with it. And that's the other thing is if you need hot water or warm water, you know, you've got to look at how are you going to warm up your water. We can actually do this one today. I can melt rock with this. I have a Fresnel lens that big. And we can go outside right now and melt rocks because I have a Fresnel lens strong enough to do that. This is something that you've never thought about was cooking food without power.
No.
Right. And you can see how easy. These are little portable ones, but again, they don't cook much food. And you have to take care of your mom and dad too. So it's going to be interesting if something happens where you have to literally have all this stuff prepared ahead of time, and then explain to them why you have all these things prepared ahead of time.
It's not an interesting thing to do. I guarantee you.
Well, it's going to be fun. You're going to have a good time. So okay, so now we've got cooking down. So we've got how he can heat up water. We've got power down, solar panels, and solar panels.
One more thing about the not cooking, which is really important. If you are in a situation where you are dealing with radioactive fallout, getting air, oxygen, without opening a window is usually really hard because you need the air to run fuel to cook with. Sprouts turn out to be a really good idea. They'll store for a really long time if you've got them stored right, and then you get the seeds wet and they sprout and grow, and it is a great thing for any fallout scenario.
What kind of seeds for fallout scenario?
A sprouting seed. So like mung beans, radishes, if you like something spicy, then you can go for mustard, but just regular like bean sprouts or radish sprouts or that kind of thing. Any of that kind of stuff. A lot of people do Brussels sprouts, broccoli sprouts, stuff like that. Look at sprouting seeds.
Right. So a pound of sprouting seeds will give you about 5 pounds of what do you call the greens that you top everything? What do they call the sprouted seeds? So when you have microgreens, there. Oh my! Thank you. Microgreens are very important. So microgreens allow you to have fresh vegetables in times that there is nothing. So if you have a pound of seeds, 1 pound of seeds will give you a whole bunch of microgreens that will provide you a little bit of nourishment. Not a lot, but I mean, depending on how big the plant is. I've actually got some seed packs out there. I'll show them what we've got here for doing microgreens. And I didn't even think about that because that provides you the vitamin C. It provides you a bunch of the basic B vitamins, and yeah, that's really good. Yeah, that was really good.
Right. And one of the other things a lot of people don't think of, often there's, even in cities, they'll have parks where they have grass growing. A lot of people don't think about eating the grass because you can't, but what you can do is juice the grass and eat that. So if you're putting grass in your mouth and chewing it to get the chlorophyll out and then spitting out the pulp so it doesn't hurt you, that's something that people can live quite a while on. I don't think a lot of people stop and think about how useful that is. But just knowing stuff is so handy. Yeah, dandelions, all kinds of stuff. Yep.
So there's a lot of edible greens that people don't know are edible. So I can take you out in my backyard right now. We can eat the grass seed, you know, those big grass seeds that are growing. The dandelions, which I have everywhere, are very edible. Amaranth. What's that one? So many different. The easiest way would be to find a book of his area that has the particular vegetation that's edible, and then he could literally walk through carefully because you want to clean it really good, and you don't want to eat grass from somewhere they sprayed.
No.
Can you imagine being in a in-game scenario where you're eating grass and the grass has been poisoned and you get sick from the poison they put on the grass? That would be such a bummer. That would be terrible. So make sure that the grass that you're eating has been thoroughly cleaned, of course, and not from a place where they use herbicides and stuff. So, but we could go outside and I could show you a whole bunch of different grass and mushrooms. You probably never picked mushrooms.
No.
My bin full of worms out there, those are edible too. But you have to, you got to learn how to, nobody wants to eat a worm. You have to learn how to cook them.
No.
Almost anything's
Remember
edible.
that in hard times, the adaptable people are the ones that get through it.
Right.
There's a lot of people who walk into even a grocery store and go, my gosh, there's nothing left. What do I do? And they walk out without realizing that the soda is a ludicrous amount of calories, and nobody bought that. So, a 12-pack of soda will get you quite a while. It's not good food at all, but it's calories.
Well, yeah, like
So,
beets and
Out of the box
radishes.
thinking.
Yeah, beets and radishes will last on your shelf for a long time. A sack of potatoes will last on your shelf for weeks. I mean, basic food items that people don't really think of as preparing can do a lot. Now, I don't know if you've ever eaten a beet. That's a very acquired taste, but a beet has a lot of sugar in it. It has a lot of fiber and a lot of basic elements, and it may not taste great, but I'll tell you what, when the shit hits the fan, I would grab beets and put it on my shelf and then figure out a way to cook them with your solar stove or your, whatever means you can. If there's no power, you really got to
Learning to cook is really important. Like knowing you're supposed to peel a beet and cook it first. I knew somebody that had never had beets. I'm like, my gosh, you have to try them. So she went to the store, bought a beet, tried to eat it like an apple, uncooked and fresh, and said it was horrible.
On that note, I was at Crater Lake. And the head chef gave me a bunch of kiwis. He said, Jeff, take these kiwis and cut them up into the fruit salad. I said, okay, I need to peel them first. And he goes, no, don't peel them. Cut these kiwis up and throw them in the fruit salad. And they're furry kiwis. And I'm like, dude, you can't do that. They're furry. Try it. I mean, here, I'll cut a piece off and you can take it. He goes, I don't like kiwi. They're furry. I said, yes, we have to peel these things. And he made me cut a whole bunch of kiwi into a fruit salad that had the fur on it. I was like, oh my God, this is the grossest fruit salad you have ever eaten. And nobody ate it because there's like chunks of, So that's my story. But that was at Crater Lake. He didn't want to eat the food there. But
my God.
So yeah, just knowing the basics of how to cook what you got, and I don't know if he'll ever be able to teach you how to prep, but we're gonna try. So, all right, what else? Let's see.
I mean, I don't think you have to worry about the cold where he lives, unless there's a pole shift, in which case you should realize how you keep warm in a cold environment. There's all kinds of things like that. You might get a big earthquake in California before you get home, and then you do have to deal with the winter. But the big thing I would recommend is that I can literally go into the Dollar Tree with $30 and come out with enough stuff to easily make it through a weekend. But you have to know what you're looking for. Learning things is so important. And I started with just buying a bunch of stuff, and then I ended up realizing that wasn't the ideal stuff and wouldn't help me that much. So I bought stuff again, and it was better stuff, and then I started to learn. And then after learning how to deal with everything, I realized I don't need that much stuff. Heck, cooking, I can find 2 bricks, set them up on their edge, build a little twig fire under it. It's not that hard if you don't have much stuff, but look at what you have to work with and then adapting what you can do then. Because there are people that know enough to walk out in the middle of like the American Southwest with nothing and be perfectly fine out there. And all you have to do is know things. So studying is a huge part of it, and then figuring out what to do. But in a city, you might be better off with like a wallet full of cash, so you can walk up to the right
Yeah, that's
dog
how we do. We
and know
pretty
where
much.
the dog is and say, "Hey, I need passage the heck out of here. Can you take me?" Like that's might be your best plan. That's why remote viewing is so handy.
Well, and that's the thing is, if we can incorporate how he could. Can you imagine doing remote viewing for what do they call it? Geolocating. We're going to remote view with the group. We're going to geolocate the most optimum source of nutrition for a group. So him and somebody else will geolocate to remote view to where the optimum source of food. And then he's going to have to recognize it as a food source too. So that's going to be the hard part. So once he gets his remote viewing skills, then he'll have to recognize it as food and then figure out how to cook it or process it.
Like, let's say my example. I went remote viewed or tried what is my ideal food source in the future. And I came back with the answer chufa. Which, okay, chufa is great. Only if I didn't know what chufa was, and I hadn't thought about it 15 years ago at some point, I would have had no idea what the heck this stuff was.
I have no idea what the heck that is. What is chufa?
It's, if you bring up your video, I will show you what chufa looks like. Or I mean, if I bring up my video, give me just a moment. I'm dumping some of the little dried tubers out onto my thing here. So here is
Oh, see?
my video. So it says chufa seeds.